Shipboard operational technology systems. Priyanga, please.
Thank you. Very good morning, everyone. I'm Priyanga Rajaram from iTrust. And on behalf of my team, I'm here to present on our new guidelines for cyber risk management. In response to the cyber threats in the maritime sector, we developed new guidelines for cyber risk management, focusing on shipboard operational technology systems. So today I'll be talking about guidelines, starting from the background, motivation, and the key topics including cyber risk, mitigation measures, cyber risk assessment, and checklists. So there has been an increase in the adoption of ICT in the maritime industry due to the increase in the maritime communications and operations. However, despite their many benefits, digitalization and interconnectivity still poses significant threat to maritime operations. So shipboard systems are subject to cyber attacks, and this disrupts safe operations and result in catastrophic consequences such as collision, explosion, sinking, and so on. So this has sparked the maritime industry to implement good cybersecurity practices on board ships and ports. A list of maritime cybersecurity guidelines has been published by various maritime organizations, including BIMCO, ABS, DNV, ENISA, IET, Code of Practice, and so on. So from these guidelines, we can see that they do discuss maritime cyber risk management, but the intended audiences of such guidelines are those at the management levels. On the contrary, our guidelines focus on managing the risk in shipboard OT systems, and it can be readily adopted by those responsible for cybersecurity in their respective organizations, such as vessel inspectors, IT/OT system specialists, and engineers. So we saw the need to establish a new guideline for cyber risk management so that ship owners can use it as recommended best practices for adoption, and maritime authorities can use it to perform vessel inspections. So the first version of our guidelines has been published in iTrust website, and you can access it from the link given here. So MTA has disseminated our guidelines to the owners and operators of the Singapore Registry of Ships for their reference and use. And the team has also worked with MTA to submit a voluntary information paper on the guidelines for the IMO's 105th session of the Maritime Safety Committee. So, as I mentioned earlier, our new guidelines focus on managing the risks in shipboard operational technology systems that are fundamental for everyday vessel operations. So, such systems include communication systems, propulsion machinery and power control systems, navigation systems, and cargo management systems. So these systems are vulnerable to cyber attacks due to various weaknesses in the system itself or in the network to which it is connected. So these are some of the cyber risks that have been addressed in the guideline. And subsequently, we also came up with a list of mitigation measures for managing the cyber risk that we have addressed. So ship-related personnel must be aware of the potential cyber risks and the necessary mitigating actions to be taken to manage those risks. So next, we have also detailed cyber risk assessment methodology in our guideline. So we calculate the cyber risk scores for each of the risks in an OT subsystem. We consider a 4x4 risk score matrix to assess the cyber risk with two factors, severity and likelihood. Severity can be calculated by the impact of a cyber attack, that is the level of confidentiality, integrity, and availability breach caused by a cyber incident. On the other hand, likelihood is the probability or the possibilities the cyber incident can occur. And it can be calculated by factors such as the complexity of an attack and the ease of access to necessary resources. So risk score will be the product of these two factors. So from this risk assessment, we categorize the OT subsystems and the risks into 3 categories. So the region of red boxes with risk costs ranging between 12 to 16 will be the high risk category, and the region of yellow boxes with risk costs between 3 to 9 will be the medium risk category, and the region of green boxes will be the low risk category. So let us look at an example. So the OT system is ECDIS, and the cyber risk address here is malware attack, and the attack surface is USB ports. So the risk, the severity and the likelihood scores are very high because this attack can be easily launched by an insider or a technician on board, and it will result in execution of malicious commands. So this will take ECDIS offline and result in unavailability of navigation data. So this will cause catastrophic consequences. So that's why this has been categorized under high risk. Now coming to a very unique part of our guideline, which is the checklist. So often lack of crew awareness on cybersecurity and unsafe practices such as usage of default and weak passwords, they lead to cyber attacks. So having a checklist and checking on the cyber hygiene level of the shipboard systems can help in ensuring that the most crucial safety measures are in place. So we take a tiered security approach for defining the checklist. So we have 3 security tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, which matches with the risk levels, which is the high, medium, and low risk categories. So a tier of security refers to the urgency of cyber risks of a ship to be managed. So the tier 1 checklist is a checklist for mitigating the high risk, which has the risk cost between 12 to 16, and this is highly recommended to implement on board. And the tier 2 checklist is the checklist for mitigating the medium risk cyber threats, and it is still recommended to have on board. And finally, the tier 3 checklist is a checklist for mitigating low risk cyber threats, and it is still good to have on board, even though the risk score is less. So cyber risk management is a very important part of managing the risk, and our guidelines will provide help in assessing the cyber hygiene of vessels and also implementing good cybersecurity practices on board ships. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Singapore Maritime Institute and the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore for their support throughout this project. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Priyanga. May I invite any questions from the floor? Yes, Zhou.
Hi, thank you, Priyanga. My name is CW Louis from ABS in Singapore.
Yeah.
So thank you for the good job in preparing the guidelines. I have just one question from your work with the rest of the ecosystem. Is this guidelines based on statistics or real-life experience of cyber attacks or cyber incidents that we see from ship owners and their assets? Thank you.
Oh, sorry, can you repeat it again?
No. From your research, do you have any data or insights from the ship owners on the statistics of what type of cyber risks rank highest and what sort of cyber risks or cyber events that they receive? For example, would it be phishing or malware attack? Do we have that data and statistics?
Yes, yeah. So during the initial stage of the study, the team and we had a visit to 2 tanker ships, and we had discussions with the crew members on board, and they have categorized phishing emails as the top priority risk. Yeah.
Noted. Thanks.
Yeah. Mr. Craig.
Thank you very much. Actually, my question more to the MPA. I suppose the MPA. Thank you. I just want to know, I noticed that this paper input out the IMO. I just wish to know a little bit more, what is the MPA intention of this guideline moving forward?
Okay, yeah, I have one other question. For cybersecurity, one of the, how should I say, weakest point, it's to do with the human element. How do you look at addressing training sort of the soft targets, the crew members, the shipboard, or shoreside engineers to prevent these weak points from being the vulnerabilities?
Yeah, so the checklist that we have provided in our guideline, it includes a mixture of technical, procedural, and physical security measures also. So we consider training as a very important part of cyber risk management. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe just as a suggestion, linking back to MPA, perhaps that could be an area where we work with the industry to provide training, not only in Singapore, but for the region as well.
Yes, not sure if you all attended the session yesterday. So it's a ground-up initiative by the industries. Companies have come together to form a cybersecurity alliance, and the MOU was actually announced yesterday. So SSA, MPA, and 7 founding members so far has come together, bring in the cybersecurity experts and their operations and commercial people to form a initiative, a roundtable initiative, which will come together regularly to discuss all the cybersecurity capability development initiatives in Singapore, knowledge sharing, conducting drills and exercises, sharing best practices, looking at training and talent development. So these are some of the things that we definitely encourage more companies and research institutions to come together to collaborate to see how we can build capabilities in maritime cybersecurity, which a lot of focus will be on the OT security as well. I just want to highlight that part in case you've missed the session yesterday. Thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Priyanga.